In a previous video, we used our Composimold reusable mold making material to make molds of various little objects that I had, some jewelry and a couple of keys. There we go. But the whole reason you make a mold is to use that mold to make castings, right? So this is kind of the whole reason behind that whole last video. So today we are going to do some resin castings in our molds. For this casting, I'm going to use some ice resin, and I've had this a while, even though it's unopened, but the hardener has turned a little bit dark, and that's normal. The hardener does darken as the ice resin ages. It doesn't have a huge effect on the resin. You know, I wouldn't use this if I was making a really nice jewelry piece. You know, I wouldn't use it. If I'm doing mixed media stuff, you know, anything that has to look antiqued or aged, then I would use this, because sometimes you can kind of see it in the casting. You can see a little bit of a golden hue, which, you know, if you're going for a crystal clear resin coating, that's not what you want. But for my purposes, this is fine, and it does affect the way your resin sets up. Usually it takes longer, and sometimes it doesn't even set up completely. For these other pieces, I used some resin that was way darker than this because it was really old, like on this leaf, and I can bend this leaf. I don't know if you can see it, but it is bending. And you really shouldn't be able to do that once resin hardens, but because my hardener was old, it's still a little bit flexible. Not a big deal for a mixed media piece, not a big deal at all. But if you're making jewelry pieces, you want to use brand new, not dark resin. Okay, on to the good part. Let's mix it. And if you use resin, people who use resin are going to look at me and go, you're doing it wrong, don't do that. You're supposed to measure it in two separate containers and then combine it so that it's exact. I don't. I kind of eyeball it. I use this thing which has the measurements on there, so I'm not, you know, completely eyeballing it, but it's not precise. And with resin, it does need to be pretty precise. And I'm going to start with, you mix equal parts of hardener and resin, or whatever the manufacturer's instructions say. Just read what the instructions say, because some of them are a little different. I usually start with the hardener, and then I pour the resin over it. That is precisely almost right. Maybe. We'll see. And then you stir. And like I said, just follow the instructions on the package. Some have you stir the holy heck out of it, some not so much. Some of them, ice resin, it's normal for it to be really, really bubbly. And if you leave it alone for a minute or two before you pour it, those bubbles settle down. But, like I said, this is not a jewelry piece that we're making. We don't need perfect crystal clear. This is mixed media. Most likely I'm going to paint the finished pieces in some way anyway, so whatever, it's fine. Okay, let's cast. Let's get these keys out the way. Let's do these first. And you know what? Just for fun, I have got some pearlescent powders. This is Pearl X Micro Pearl, and this one is, I've showed this before and I never can remember. Okay, it's made by glandmp.com. I'll try to remember to put a link down below, but it's a metallic leafing powder. I'm going to add just a tiny bit. Let's do this Micro Pearl. Add just, really a tiny bit, right, to the resin, just to give it a little bit of pearl essence. Okay. That's just an optional thing you can do, you know, just 'cause. Now I've already put some Daddy Vans into the molds, so you know, to help prevent sticking. So now I'm just going to pour the stuff. Now I think I'm going to add a little bit of this silver powder, just a tiny bit. Alright, now I'm going to try to get in all these little nooks and crannies. Okay, let's do these larger areas first. Our castings are done, so let's take a look. I pulled this one out off camera because I was just absolutely certain that it was going to come out in pieces. Because, you know, this was awfully, I've got to get used to this, awfully fussy and lots of little nooks and crannies, and I just did not think this was going to work at all. Well, it did. It worked out really well, in fact. There's a couple of little pieces that didn't mold. The unicorn doesn't have a horn, so he just looks like a horse, you know, big deal. And the ends of the little feet didn't quite get completed. I think it was just because the resin was so thick that it couldn't get down into those teeny tiny little places. But I'm calling it a win. And it was just about the same color as this one, which I'm going to try to pull out in a minute. I just added a little bit of the silver powder to the resin, if you remember, so it was kind of a light gray. And then I've gone in and painted some of the areas silver, and I think I'm going to paint these stones green, just to kind of mimic the original piece. You know, not to copy it exactly, but just sort of mimic it a little bit. So that surprised me. That actually worked. That's the only one I took out, so let's do these. I don't have much confidence in these keys, so let's see. Oh, this resin is not completely hard, as you can see, and it's had plenty of time to become completely hard, but it was old resin, right? And that does have a tendency to affect how it hardens. Usually these pieces like this, in about a week, they'll harden up just fine, but they take their time. Okay, this one did well. These little, there's some little, you know, where I poured too much, those come off really easy because it's so thin. So yeah, I'm calling that one good. And that was the one where I broke the mold. So despite my trying to screw it up, it still worked. And then this one, oh, this one did really well. Again, it's where I overfilled the mold. It's a little bit rough on the edges. Those are easy to clean up. And it needs to harden. But other than that, it looks good. Okay, these were the heart pendants. I think I have two. This one is this one, and this one is this one. Oh wow. That one did really well. Can you even see? I don't know because it's clear and it's hard to see the texture, but yes, it did pick up the pattern in the pendant. It picked it up really well, in fact. Almost even made the pendant loop, which I didn't care about, I don't need, but it almost made it. Okay, now this one had, this texture on this one, the pattern is not as deeply engraved, and I added a lot more silver powder to it, to the resin. Oh, it still picked up. Huh, okay. Kind of hard to see, but definitely, side by side, maybe that'll help. It definitely picked it up. Pretty cool. Okay, this I think I did off camera because it was sort of a, you know, oh, I wonder what would happen if. Because I know you can mold 3D objects like this. I never do. I mold flat things because these are the things that I use. I usually stick them onto something else, right? So I don't have a huge need for a complete three-dimensional object such as these bulbs. I took 2 light bulbs, suspended them. This was a little plastic cup. I wrapped a little wire around it and suspended them in the in a plastic cup, and then poured the Composimold on there. Okay, y'all, this was a big learning experience. Here's what I learned. Light bulbs are full of air and they like to float. So yeah, I thought I had everything secured down. You know, they were wired to a popsicle stick that was over the edge of the, I can't even remember if I took video of that or not. I don't think I did. Anyway, I thought I had rigged something just brilliant. I was like really impressed with myself. As soon as I poured the Composimold in there, both my light bulbs started going, I mean, I literally had to like sit there and hold them until the molding compound started to set, because they kept kind of scooching out of shape because there's air in there. Okay, yeah, but I am not the scientist, but I learned. Now I just gotta figure out how to get these out. Okay, I'm thinking, see, I can kind of, it's like, but look, the top hole's tiny and then the bottom's a lot wider because it's a light bulb, so it's going to be like giving birth. And we just hope there's enough room up there. Okay. Let me try, oh, these pliers are awful. Let me try yanking it with the forceps. Okay. The forceps worked! Oh, that is hilarious. Oh, look! Okay, this little guy, I just need to clean up this end a little bit, and I've got a solid light bulb. How fun is that? That is really cool. Wow, it worked. Okay, and this little one, I don't know if I can be able to get it out of there. This one might have to be done by cesarean. I'm enjoying this way too much. I apologize to the Composimold people. Oh, I love the sound it makes. Okay, there we have the little light bulb. That was this one right here. So yay! Three-dimensional objects were not as difficult as I thought they might be. That was kind of fun. I want to do that again. Huh. And since I didn't have to, no one had to be removed by cesarean, I can use my molds again. I can put more, I can make more resin light bulbs. These, I think the resin set up better in these than it did these others, and I don't know why. Oh, I had mixed 2 batches, that's why. I bet I mixed a better batch. If I'd follow the instructions, I would get consistent results, but I don't do that. Okay, so these can be, I can cast again or melt all of that back down. these, put right here, there, and what I'm going to do now is finish, I'm going to put a little more detail on here. Okay, let me scooch out. I think I can do this now that I've got this different camera. There we go. And it's going to refocus by itself. I'll just trust it to do that. Okay, you see right here, this is what I painted it with. This is still wet. I'm going to use that paint. Oops. I can save those from myself. This is, okay, when I say paint, it is a little bit of, again, old gum arabic, which you can find at an art supply store over with the mediums or with the watercolors, fine art watercolors. A little bit of gum arabic and then a little scoop or a little, I just dipped my brush in there, you know, put some on it, of this metallic powder that I will provide a link for because I stumble through it every time because it's weird. I don't know. But you can get it at art supply stores too. Alright, I'm just going to kind of use up the rest of my silver paint that I've got going on over there. See, now if you use a proper palette, this is not such an issue, but oh no. I'll just pour mine out on scrap paper. Okay, good enough. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of gum arabic with a green color and kind of do these stones. So, a little bit of gum arabic. Don't ask me what this stuff is. Honestly, I have no clue. I just know it's what you need to use for a binder for things like powdered pigments and watercolor. Then just a little scoop. Let's do 2. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Somebody really needs to get in touch with me, huh? Okay, palette knife would be better, but that's not what I have in my hand. I have a brush, so that's what I'm going to use. Just work the pigment into the gum arabic as best you can. Okay. Oh, I mixed silver again. Why are y'all not protecting me? Y'all, it's your job to save me from myself. Oh my gosh. I was going to mix green, not silver. I'm going to have some really awesome backgrounds though. Y'all just sit there and let me do it. Oh, I know. You were screaming at the screen and I was ignoring you. That's the way it always goes. And, oh, let's scooch in. Let's scooch in just because we can. Whoops. Okay. Now, loading up my brush and let's see if I can do this without hunching down over it and blocking your view. I've got some of this clear glitter stuff. Let's try that. Let that dry. And I might free some of these other ones. I don't know. I might keep painting them, see what happens. If I do something fun with them, I'll put pictures at the end. And if not, you will see them coming up in various projects, I feel quite sure. So, y'all go over to the Composimold website. I will have all of their links down in the video description. And pick up some Composimold if you would like to play with it and to make your own molds and then cast things in them. And tell Stan and everyone I said hey. And that is all I have for this fun project. The end.